So 2025 was a bit of an edge of the seat year. Lighthaus Arts has been patiently going through due process to take on the redeveloped Stoneleigh Arms at the bottom of town on Clement Street. And finally, at the turn of the year, Maddie and Cassie, who in fact are Lighthaus Arts, took on a 10-year lease and have transformed the space already into a beautiful gallery and artists' hub, which is where I'm actually sat now. Maddie, Cassie, congratulations on your new home and welcome to life in Leam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's
great to be here.
Very well, lovely. And so the pair of you, I think on your website you referred to yourselves as a dynamic duo, and it is a little bit sort of Batman and Robin, Thelma and Louise. You seem to be joined at the hip. How did you folk get together in the first place?
So Maddie and I didn't know each other until about, 3 years ago? And we both met by volunteering to manage the art room in the middle of Leamington on behalf of the Leamington studio artists. And we had this vision of making it very accessible, and we got to know each other by doing it in a bit of a baptism of fire. And we loved it, and we got on really well, and we worked very well together because we've got very different skill sets that fill in the gaps of each of the skill sets, and we found that together there was nothing we couldn't do. So it just sort of grew from there, really.
So that was Leamington Studio Artists, and of course now you have Lighthaus Arts, which is your very own baby. Maddie, how did that come to be?
We recognised that people really needed to get into the arts and develop an arts practice, but a lot of people were facing barriers. And yes, that was our kind of main mission with Lighthaus Arts. Once we set that up, it was a little while later that we then heard about the Creative Quarter, and we started working with the developers, CDP, and kind of consulting with them on what would now be our new home.
You mentioned accessibility there, Maddie, when you were sort of talking through the concept of Lighthaus Arts. Could you give us just a few examples of the types of accessibility you had in mind, whether it's sort of physical, whether there's other issues that you were to help?
I think accessibility is kind of both, so physical and within other forms. So it could be through, people have barriers through mental health. We've seen barriers with people on low income, people who are like single parents, or even, our carers as well. Our kind of mission was always to be here to support those people who faced, all sorts of barriers to accessing the arts and even developing or having any kind of arts practice.
What we noticed when we were running the art room was that often people don't realise what barriers are even there. Other people had these different barriers of, for example, time. If you work full time and you've got children and you're struggling to make ends meet, that immediately puts a huge wall up to having any sort of arts practice. And a lot of the organisations that existed at the time were focused on things happening during work hours or the weekends. So one of the things that we really wanted was to have time outside of work hours and weekends for people to come and work in the space, because we know that that's really important if you work and you have children and you have family that you're looking after, other responsibilities. So it was these sort of very small differences that we noticed that could make a huge difference to somebody that was facing some sort of barrier. So things like that, little small adjustments that actually make it more diverse, that actually allow people to access it. That's the kind of thing that we're trying to do.
So, a nice example of that is we currently have 2 of our 5 studio artists who have permanent studios with us on the first floor, so they both have full-time jobs. And so we decided that it was important to allow our studio artists to have full access at any time, so they have 24-hour access whenever they want, so that they can come in and develop their arts practice. When in the evening, when they're not working, or when they have a day off, or at any point, when they have free time.
And we've also set up a bursary scheme, which means that we'll be able to give free and heavily subsidised places. And we're actually offering membership that can contribute to that bursary as well. So we're asking the arts community, if they want to to have a slightly higher membership, which then goes into giving somebody a free place.
So here we are sat in the brilliant Stoneleigh Arms, which is sort of the embodiment of this philosophy of accessibility that we talked about. Cassie, could you just give us a quick audio tour of what's here and just talk to us about why it's so important that you have a space of your own like this?
Yeah, so on the ground floor we are open to the public, and we have our retail space at the front which sells things that local artists have made. At the back we have our gallery, and the gallery is where we show work by local artists that is fine art, and that's a space that we have about 100 artists displaying in. We're very much of the mind that we don't gatekeep about what art is. We curate it beautifully. We have artists of all different levels, people that have only just for the first time submitted something, and artists that have been working their whole lives. They all exhibit together in our space, and we find it's really important that we encourage people to feel they can be part of an exhibition like this. It's open to them to put something in, and if they get accepted, they get put alongside long-term artists, and we make the exhibition look beautiful no matter what you submit. We also sell art materials, and we are the only place, as far as we know at the moment, that sells art materials in Leamington. So some people might remember the lovely chrome yellow that used to exist at the bottom of town. All of our stock at the moment is their stock from after they closed down. So we've got this bit of Leamington history in here as well, of all the chrome yellow stock. And then on the first floor, we have our artist studios, which are rented by individual artists. And then on the top floor, we have our project space, which is a shared workspace for artists, and you can become a member and use it almost like a gym for artists. And it's also used for workshops. So some of the time we have classes running in there as well. And we've got a lovely ceramic space that's just coming to life at the moment as well on our first floor, and a kiln. So in terms of why a place like this is important, we found when we were running the art room that the more open we were, the more lively it became, and that seems very obvious, but art spaces can often feel very exclusive and intimidating, especially galleries. We exist for artists to make things and for the community to come and look at it and get involved with it and maybe come and make something too. And it's working, and it worked in our last place, and it's working even more now. And obviously the workshops and things help bring people in, but really it's about how you make the space feel, how welcoming you can be, and really allowing people to feel like they can come into this space. And that's a tricky thing to do, but it's really important. We know that art spaces can literally save lives, and we've seen that in our research project. And we've seen since we got here, and we've only been open, almost just over a month. The community that has already grown around this place is amazing, and the crossovers that we've had between different parts of the community, it's even surprised me, even though I knew this is what we were trying to do. That's why these spaces matter.
So you're here, you're set up, the place is looking fantastic. I had a little look on your website actually yesterday, and there's already a slew of events of various things going on. Cassie, just give us a sense of what's on the horizon, what's on the calendar for you, and what are the plans for using the space this year?
So workshops is a huge thing, obviously. We just had our first Culture House, which is something we've set up as a monthly forum for creatives around Leamington. The other thing that we're looking at the moment is lots of events. So we want to do more social events. We're looking in our garden space for the summer, which I don't know if you've seen it, but it is pretty amazing out there. And we've got so much space out there. And it's worth knowing that the back of our gallery, everything's movable. So we often move them around for different events. We also have film screenings happening this year. So some local filmmakers are coming to show their films with their cast and crew. We've got a poetry night that's kicking off that is being planned at the moment, that's sort of spoken word with music. Honestly, we're attracting so many different people, and that's exactly what we wanted. It's great.
And all, of course, it's on the website, which Cassie is lovingly keeping updated for us all. I'll put the website address in the blurb. So for people who are excited by the prospect of this and want to get involved somehow, either as established artists or maybe aspiring artists, or just art lovers or the sort of art curious that want to come and take a look, what's the best way of them getting involved?
I think really just come in and say hello. And we'll very willingly show you around and proudly show you what we're trying to create here, and introduce you to our artists and show you what everyone's creating. So yeah, I think one of the best ways is just to pop in and say hello. Other than that, there are different membership levels. If you wanted to get involved on a social level and just be invited to some of our socials and events, you can join as a friend. And very soon we'll be starting our very first Arts Council funded project, which is all about building relationships with our existing charities that we're working with, but also reaching out to new organisations. And we'll be doing a call out for emerging artists and established artists to work in a kind of mentoring role together, to work with our charity partner groups to create body of work. So that could be one way that budding local artists and established artists could get involved. And yeah, we have exhibition call-outs as well every month. So every month we turn around our exhibition. So we have call-outs for that.
And we only charge a £10 hanging fee for the entire exhibition. And then if you sell your piece, we have really low commission rates, and you can also replace your piece and put another one in if it sells. We'd love to have more volunteers. We always need volunteers to help with the space. And also we're looking at doing some work experience with young people as well, where we give them a little bit of training. So there's loads of ways to get involved. But as Maddie says, it's absolutely the best way to just come and see it, because you really understand when you get here, I think, what it is that we're trying to do. And when you meet the people that are here, it makes sense.
Well, it just remains to welcome you once again into this space. I've been waiting for months and months to record this episode as the process of acquiring the Stoneleigh Arms has been going on, and it's just fantastic that you're both down here. They're both beaming with smiles, very happy to be in this place.
Still sane. just about.
They're at the sane phase of the process here, and I wish you, well, a fabulous 2026, getting really rocking and rolling here, and a fabulous next 10 years as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure.